Immigration is one of the most emotional and misunderstood issues in modern politics. But today, emotion plays no role. We've configured two advanced AI debaters to analyze one question with absolute precision. Should illegal immigrants be deported? On one side, the pro-deportation advocate argues that nations cannot function without enforcing their laws, securing borders, and removing those who entered illegally. On the other side, the anti-deportation advocate claims that mass deportation is unrealistic, economically damaging, and morally incompatible with modern democratic values. No shouting, no politics, no human bias. Just pure argument versus argument over 12 rounds. The debate begins now.
Illegal immigration presents a significant challenge to national sovereignty and public order. A nation cannot function without enforceable borders, and deportation is the most direct method of upholding the law. When individuals bypass legal entry channels, it undermines the integrity of the entire immigration system and disadvantages those who wait years for lawful processing. My position is simple. A nation has every right to determine who enters and remains within its borders. Deportation isn't cruelty. It's the enforcement of democratically established laws meant to preserve security, fairness, and social stability.
While border enforcement is necessary, mass deportation is neither humane nor economically wise. Many undocumented immigrants have lived in their host countries for decades, contributing labour, paying taxes, and raising families. Deportation often punishes people whose only crime is crossing a border out of desperation or survival. Removing millions destabilizes communities, harms employers, and divides families, including children who are citizens. A more just approach focuses on creating pathways to legal status, improving border procedures, and addressing root causes rather than defaulting to deportation as a blanket solution.
I agree compassion matters, but compassion cannot replace the rule of law. If laws are not enforced, they lose meaning entirely. When people see that illegal entry is met with leniency or pathways to citizenship, it inadvertently encourages more illegal crossings. This overwhelms border systems and humanitarian facilities, leading to more dangerous journeys and exploitation by smugglers. Enforcing deportation signals that legal entry is the only acceptable path. It protects future migrants from harm and reinforces the principle that the law applies to everyone, not just those who choose to follow it.
The rule of law is important, but laws themselves must also be ethical, achievable, and updated to reflect reality. The current immigration system is outdated, under-resourced, and unable to process cases efficiently, forcing many to migrate irregularly. Deportation often treats complex humanitarian situations as if they were simple, legal violations. People fleeing gang violence, economic collapse, or climate impacts may not have the luxury of waiting. The humane approach is reform, not removal. A just society evaluates circumstances, not just violations, and recognizes humanitarian obligations that transcend rigid enforcement.
Economically, illegal immigration burdens public systems. Emergency healthcare, schooling, and social services operate at taxpayer expense. Even if many undocumented workers pay some taxes, they generally receive more public benefits than they contribute financially. Additionally, unauthorized labor undercuts wages for legal residents, especially among low-income groups. Employers exploit illegal labor precisely because they know it skirts regulations. Deportation restores labor market fairness, ensures citizens aren't priced out of jobs, and compels employers to hire legally, strengthening the economy rather than creating an underground workforce.
The economic evidence overwhelmingly contradicts the idea that undocumented immigrants are a net burden. Numerous studies show they contribute billions in taxes, fill essential labor shortages, and support entire industries such as agriculture, construction, and hospitality. Mass deportation would disrupt supply chains, raise consumer prices, and cost governments billions in enforcement expenses. Undocumented workers often pay into Social Security and Medicare without ever being eligible to receive benefits. Far from being an economic drain, they sustain sectors that would otherwise face severe labor shortages.
A government's first duty is public safety, and illegal immigration complicates crime prevention. Undocumented individuals often live off record, making it harder for law enforcement to track criminal activity or verify identities. While many are hardworking people, deportation ensures dangerous individuals cannot hide within the undocumented population. Countries must prioritize citizen safety before anything else. There's no reason any nation should risk harboring individuals who entered illegally and might have criminal backgrounds unknown to authorities.
Crime statistics do not support the claim that undocumented immigrants pose a significant threat. In fact, in both the US and Europe, undocumented immigrants commit crimes at lower rates than native-born citizens. The narrative that they hide among criminal groups is often exaggerated. Deportation doesn't target criminals. It targets everyone. A better solution is community-based policing that encourages trust, not fear. When undocumented people fear deportation, they avoid reporting crimes or cooperating with authorities, making communities less safe, not more.
National security requires strict border control. A porous border is an invitation to drug traffickers, criminal cartels, and hostile actors. Deportation is part of a broader strategy to deter illegal crossings and maintain national stability. Every sovereign country secures its borders. Enforcing deportation is not extremist, it is standard practice. Without consistent enforcement, the border becomes symbolic rather than functional, increasing risks that go far beyond individual migrants.
National security is indeed crucial, but deportation alone does not address the structural issues. Modern security threats, cartels, traffickers, extremists, operate through organized networks, not individual migrants seeking work. Overfunding deportation diverts resources from intelligence, border technology, and international cooperation that genuinely counter threats. A balanced system distinguishes between threats and ordinary families. Removing millions won't stop government failures or cartel operations. Smarter, targeted approaches will.
Family separation is a difficult consequence, but responsibility lies partly with those who violate immigration laws. Countries cannot base all immigration policy on emotional arguments. When individuals knowingly enter illegally, they accept legal risks. In any legal system, family disruption happens when laws are broken. Deportation isn't designed to tear families apart. It's a consequence of illegal entry. Governments can mitigate harm with humane procedures, but law enforcement cannot stop simply because the outcome is painful.
Family unity is a fundamental human value, and deportation often tears apart families where children are legal citizens. Punishing parents by separating them from their children is disproportionate to the offense of crossing a border. If millions of mixed-status families exist, the policy, not the people, needs rethinking. A responsible government recognizes that immigration laws affect human beings, not case numbers. Humane systems prioritize keeping families intact, offering legal pathways and alternative resolutions.
Illegal immigration complicates cultural integration because large undocumented populations sometimes form parallel communities rather than participating in civic life. When people live outside the legal system, they cannot fully integrate, leading to cultural fragmentation and social tension. Deportation is part of resetting expectations. Legal immigrants are welcomed and supported, while illegal entry is discouraged. Strong borders help maintain cultural cohesion, ensuring integration occurs in an organized and sustainable way.
Cultural enrichment, not fragmentation, is the more common outcome. Studies show immigrant communities, documented or undocumented, integrate over time through schools, workplaces, and social networks. The reason some groups struggle to integrate is fear of deportation, not unwillingness. Legalization enables immigrants to learn the language, participate civically, and contribute openly. Deportation suppresses integration. Inclusion accelerates it.
Ethically, nations must differentiate between legal refugees and illegal economic migrants. When borders are overwhelmed by illegal entrants, genuine refugees receive fewer resources and slower processing. Deportation protects the refugee system from collapse and maintains fairness for those fleeing real dangers through proper channels. A compassionate system must still prioritize order.
Many so-called economic migrants are actually fleeing violence, poverty, or climate breakdown, forms of desperation not formally recognized in outdated immigration laws. Deportation treats survival-driven movement as a legal offense instead of a humanitarian emergency. Wealthier nations bear some responsibility for global disruptions that push migration. Ethical leadership means offering protection, not punishment.
Deportation is feasible when handled systematically. Countries routinely enforce immigration laws through workplace audits, biometric systems, and border enforcement. Over time, consistent deportation decreases illegal entries, reducing long-term costs. While expensive upfront, the long-term payoff is restoring lawful entry and reducing strain on social systems. Nations cannot afford uncontrolled illegal population growth indefinitely.
Mass deportation is financially unrealistic. Estimates run into hundreds of billions when accounting for detention, legal processing, transportation, and economic disruption. Removing millions would also devastate industries reliant on immigrant labor. The logistical nightmare would overwhelm courts, prisons, and agencies. A pathway to legal status is far more cost-effective, stable, and humane.
Pathways to citizenship should exist only for those who respect the immigration process. Rewarding illegal entry with legalization encourages more illegal immigration, repeating the cycle. Deportation ensures fairness for lawful immigrants who followed the rules. Amnesty undermines the integrity of the system and invites future waves.
Legalization isn't a reward, it's a solution. Millions are already here, integrated and essential to the economy. Creating a regulated pathway doesn't encourage new illegal immigration when paired with modern border reform. Instead, it transforms undocumented individuals into tax-paying, law-abiding, fully accountable residents, strengthening society.
From a moral standpoint, laws exist to preserve order and equality. Allowing illegal immigration disregards moral obligations to citizens and legal immigrants who patiently followed the system. Deportation isn't vengeance. It's upholding a principle that society relies upon. A functioning nation cannot base policy solely on empathy without also considering justice.
Morality extends beyond legality. Actions taken out of desperation cannot be judged solely by statutes. Ethical societies practice restorative, not punitive justice, especially when dealing with powerless populations. The moral question isn't, did they break the law, but what response produces human dignity and societal benefit? Deportation often fails both criteria.
Illegal immigration is a direct challenge to national sovereignty, legal fairness, and public safety. While compassionate reforms may exist, deportation remains the clearest, most consistent method to enforce borders and preserve the integrity of the immigration system. Without firm consequences, immigration laws become meaningless, creating chaos for future migrants and citizens alike. A nation must protect its borders to protect its future.
Deportation is a blunt, outdated tool that inflicts human suffering without solving the deeper issues driving migration. Undocumented immigrants contribute socially and economically, and many have lived peacefully for decades. The humane, practical solution is a balanced system that offers legal pathways while modernizing border controls. Compassion and security can coexist, and deportation should not be the default response.
The final round brings this debate to a close. According to the combined evaluation of AI judges, the anti-deportation side finishes with a small lead, earning slightly higher marks for long-term policy stability and humanitarian framing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next AI debate.